Hello, my name is Kelly Mathis, and I'm here to talk about my research project, which was dysfunctional organizational behaviors. Now, to avoid conflict at the workplace is one of those unavoidable instances. It is a natural occurrence where people may not agree with or get along with each other, or certain policies that they may not agree with. The responses to the disagreement sets the stage for the organization to be at a disadvantage because this is where the dysfunction may start. An employee may start to be resentful because of the way a supervisor may have given a directive and the tone was not what they expected. Once the attitudes have set in, the dysfunction may begin. My research paper began to start to identify the signs of the dysfunction and how to be able to end it before it even begins to start. It also discussed the problems that come up with some of the solutions to the issue as well. And it is important to note that this is not an issue that cannot be resolved. However, it is an issue that must be confronted head on, or it can taint and destroy any organization or company. So one of the first things I would like to do is to kind of talk about identifying what some of those dysfunctions are. One of the dysfunctions is what they like to call ADD, or attention deficit disorder. This is where senior management cannot seem to focus on one primary goal, strategy, or problem long enough to gain any momentum in solving it. So basically what you have is probably an organization where your leaders don't really have a clear goal and they're jumping from one project to the next project. And in that situation, nothing seems to ever get resolved. Another dysfunction is called the anarchy. And this is where the boss won't lead at all. And in that situation, the management team fails to provide any clear sense of direction, which leads the employees to sort of fend for themselves. And that in itself can create a very dysfunctional workplace. Another identified dysfunction is called the anemia. And this is only where the dead wood survives. Typically, after an organization probably goes through its layoffs, the talented individuals who work for that organization have gone on to better opportunities. And when that occurs, that only leaves the misfits or the losers of that organization to carry the load. And that only adds more conflict with the rest of the organization because the most talented individuals have gone on to greener pastures. Another identified dysfunction is the caste system. And this is where it is called the untouchables. And the caste system is that informal structure that everyone knows about, but most people avoid talking about. And these are those individuals where everyone already knows that when things happen to these individuals, or that nothing's going to happen to these particular individuals, that the structure is only set for those who have a certain status within an organization. Another dysfunction that's been recognized is called the Civil War. And this is where organizations break into two camps. And each camp has their own ideology. And with that, the tension can either benefit or cripple an organization. When you have two different camps who possibly have two different types of ideologies, then typically people have to decide on which side or which ideology that they would like to follow. And when that happens, discord and dysfunction is soon to follow. Another identified dysfunction is called the despotism or fear. And this is where the CEO or director is a tyrannical and oppress the employees, which causes people to engage in avoidance behavior at the expense of goal setting. And typically what happens with this type of dysfunction is that when you have a leader who oppresses his workers, It allows the workers to not even want to communicate or have anything to do with upper management or the leadership. Not only are these dysfunctions being able to be identified, they can also be corrected. And here are some typical solutions that can be utilized to help with this dysfunction in the workplace. One thing you can do is look at the individual and identify the reasons for their behavior. If they can identify the reasons for their behavior, then typically they will be able to come up with some solutions to why they behave the way that they do. Also, an individual can speak with those that you may have a conflict with. Maybe it could be an issue of you may not have liked something that maybe someone has said, and that individual may need to go to that individual to possibly come up with some solutions. Also, another solution is to increase the lines of communication so that the lines of communication will always be open. Another area that you can work on that can help with the dysfunction in the workplace is to educate and increase the awareness of safety. As long as the environment is safe and everyone understands those boundaries, then that typically stands for a harmonious type of workplace relationship. Lastly, organizations need to provide a good, stable work environment. And this will definitely help into curing the dysfunction within an organization. I've typically felt that this was something that I was really interested in because of the organization that I work in, to see whether or not we suffer from some of these very symptoms that I talked about in my research paper. And I've come up to the conclusion that we actually do have some of these issues within our own organization. So this is something that I felt compelled to do for my research paper. Again, my name is Kelly Mathis, and my research paper was The Dysfunctional Organizational Behaviors. Thank you.